Peace be upon you. A large ball started from a small core, then rolled in a hayfield until it got bigger and bigger. Now it seems huge to the eye, when in reality it's only straw, dry leaves, and dust. This is the case with the evolution myth. The myth that organisms emerged by chance, without intention. Darwin's fictitious pillars, which contradict mind and science, combined with invalid deduction methods, formed the core that kept rolling in the field of observations in the universe for over a century and a half to produce a huge ball. When the myth proponents talk about a fossil or a so-called vestigial organ, it is nothing but straws, which we'll discuss later, after we dismantle the hayball's core. In the episodes Darwin's Theory of Evolution, a Fair Discussion, and It's a Goat Even If It Flies, we dismantled the fictitious pillars and explained why we call them myths. What's left is to dismantle the invalid and deceptive deduction methods which gathered biological and fossil-related observations and loaded them onto the fictitious pillars. We'll show how pseudoscience zealots were able to transform evidence for creation, which debunks their myth, into supporting evidence for it. We will build our foundations on clear points and established thinking methods. It's possible that you'll be convinced by what I say. Then you listen to a disciple of the evolution myth or someone who tries to Islamize it, and they also convince you. You may get annoyed at yourself that your mind is so easily changed, that you can't distinguish right from wrong or develop a firm belief in anything. Whereas when we learn the principles of sound reasoning together, you will gain insight and recognize who is presenting a sound argument. The more you listen to them, the more convinced, satisfied, guided, and enlightened you become, Allah willing. In contrast, you'll identify the arguments that mislead and corrupt the mind, despite their claim that they address the mind and respect it. So, you'll know that not every claimed evidence is actual evidence. Say, not equal are the evil and the good, although the abundance of evil might impress you. So fear Allah, O you of understanding, that you may be successful. You'll find some who try to pull off logical fallacies and psychological manipulation. The more you listen to them, the more convinced you become that they're deceptive or that they themselves are unwittingly deluded by myths. I encourage you, dear viewers, to judge every argument you hear, whether it comes from the myth advocates or critics, against my episodes to determine who is right in his deductions and who is wrong. There is a large number of arguments and counter-arguments on this topic in books and on the internet. Moreover, there are great efforts that critique the myth of evolution. Some of the arguments are questionable, others are unique, but not structured or comprehensive. With this topic, dismantling the hayball's core, we are trying to establish a theoretical framework and a logical sequence for the presentation of the topic. We want to reveal and categorize the different deduction fallacies, so that if you are presented with an argument, you ask yourself, is this deduction valid or invalid? If it's fallacious, what type of fallacy does it fall under? You might listen at length to someone who brings forth a lot of presumed evidence on the validity of the myth, only to be surprised, after a closer look, that all this evidence falls under the same category of deduction fallacies. The Quran could have stopped at presenting the evidence for Allah's existence and His attributes, but the Quran details the ways and tricks of the promoters of falsehood. This is how we make our signs clear, so the way of the wicked may become distinct. We'll see the different ways of committing the crime of corrupting minds. We could have presented a 2-minute video about the mosquito or anything else in this universe, to ponder its amazing design. It is enough proof, for those of sound mind and heart, for intentional and willful creation by a creator. How did this great, obvious, self-evident, universal truth become questionable? What methods of deception and misinformation did the myth disciples use, in the name of science, to block the mind from seeing this truth? How were they able to convince some of the youth to believe the silliest and most ridiculous idea in history, that organisms emerged as a result of chance coincidences, without intention, knowledge, or will? How is the mind canceled in the name of appealing to the mind? How is science falsified in the name of science? Basically, how are brains washed? That's what we will find out, Allah willing, in our next episodes. You'll see how, to give a course on logical fallacies and psychological manipulations, it's enough to use the evolution myth and how its proponents promoted it as a case study. You'll find all the fallacies and manipulative tactics exemplified in abundance in this area. to reconcile between simplicity and accuracy, we'll use acting scenes while discussing deduction fallacies to help convey the meaning. Through these episodes, the dismantling the core of the inflated hayball will be completed, as will the methodological framework of our episodes on the myth of evolution. Thereafter, we'll continue our journey with established criteria so we can discuss, in detail, the main pillars and evidences one by one: the origin of life, mutations, natural selection, the fossil record, molecular biology, etc., without boring you with unnecessarily lengthy presentations. Just the right amount to establish conviction, familiarize you with the secrets of pseudoscience, and enable you, dear viewer, to acquire the skill of critical thinking and apply it to whatever you get exposed to. Throughout, we'll provide solid answers to frequently asked questions. Why do most Western scientists support this myth? Are they truly convinced of it? What about the attempts to reconcile Islam and evolution, and more? We'll answer all these questions during an engaging and exciting journey full of examples, surprises, and lessons. A journey which, Allah willing, will establish deep critical thinking and solid faith based on knowledge and insight. So stay tuned, dear viewers. Peace and mercy of Allah upon you.